under the bright lights. I want to be on the Broadway stage.
Tiger Rag Radio is on now.
Hey, we're back on Tiger Rag Radio. Jeff Palermo along with Todd Horn and Glenn Gilbo, the guys from Tiger Rag. And joining us now on the Max Home Hotline, it is Mike Smith, who is the voice of the LSU Gymnastics team, handles the public address announcing for LSU Gymnastics on their home meets, and also handled the PA for the SEC Championships in Birmingham. And that was some exciting stuff a couple Saturdays ago. I think it was on a Saturday, if I'm right, Mike. LSU, coming from behind, right? Florida did so well on the, refresh my memory here, vault, right? Didn't they knock it out of the?
It was bars.
Bars, yeah. They had 2 10s on bars, right? 2 10s?
They sure did. It was like we were, passing by and walking by the Vegas slots, and 3 or 4 people hit at the same time. It was kind of crazy there for a little while.
Yeah, but LSU once again finishing strong and beating Oklahoma again for a second time this season, beating Florida. Very impressive. How do you think this team is feeling right now? It just what we've seen here, Mike, I think is what you want to see out of any athletic team, right? Playing or competing at its highest level at the right time.
Championship quality performance, hands down, that we saw a couple Saturdays ago in Birmingham. LSU was so consistent from the very beginning to the very end, and that's what won the title. And as we've said on your show before, you win the Southeastern Conference, you tie for the regular season, you win the SEC tournament. That puts you as the odds-on favorite for the national championship. And if the Tigers give the same kind of effort over the next, 4 meets that lay in front of them, they're going to win it, and they're going to win it convincingly. The trick is you got to stay healthy over 4 meets, and you have to compete and stay razor sharp, both mentally and physically. And if they can do that, and all, everything's pointing in that direction as we stand here tonight.
Well, Mike, you mentioned the health. How is the health right now? And what about the mentality of going in as the number 1 ranked team with a target on your back for the first time ever? It's a switch in roles for LSU.
Yeah, really, exactly. It's not something that we've seen before. It seems like this program is constantly adding, new firsts. And that's a really good thing. I think it's it speaks volumes to the quality of coaching, at LSU. And also the quality of all the behind-the-scenes folks in the village that are getting these student athletes prepared and ready, week in and week out. And that goes to the health. It's as healthy a group as I've seen for this particular part in this, portion of the season in a very, very long time. I think they're exceedingly healthy right now. And I think you're going to be in for at least 1, maybe 2 surprises here, when the regional gets ready. Coming up on Thursday.
For those that don't understand it, Mike, and I know there's a lot of LSU Gymnastics fans that have joined the party here recently, this now kind of works just like, think of it as a 32-team tournament, right? Or 32-squad tournament. 32 schools will be competing Thursday, gets knocked down to 16 on Saturday, and then the final 8 will head to Dallas in a couple weeks. It works very much in that way.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, one other thing I would add there, Jeff, that's that play-in, very similar to.
Oh yeah, that's true.
NCAA
that's right.
Men's basketball. So it technically starts with 4 regions of 9, and think of it as 8 and 9 have a play-in for that 8th spot, but then essentially it carries on just like you described. One key difference is, of course, if you, again, to use a basketball analogy, since that's very timely right now, and that is that, the national semifinals are two pods of 4 for a total of 8, as you say.
Right.
So the final 4 in gymnastics is actually the national championship meet.
Right. We were talking about this in the break, Mike. I think LSU, Oklahoma, Florida, to me, those 3 are going to be there in the final 4. Who do you think the 4th team could be? Or am I wrong on what I just said even at the beginning there?
No, I think you're onto something. I think those three teams have been among the most consistent, and again, that's kind of what you're looking for this time of year. Consistency and then no surprises on the injury front. As far as the fourth team goes, I think there are at least a small handful of teams that are in that mix. I could rattle off a few. Utah would be right there. UCLA is going to be right there. They're super powerful on the floor exercise. There always seems to be some sort of a sleeper, like a Missouri, that pops up out of nowhere, but it's because they're well coached and they have a good amount of talent, although maybe not the numbers that you see with some of the other programs. So there's always room, I think, for a sleeper out there. But I think among those three, I think you've got a nice little handful that can compete for that final spot.
Mike, where does LSU in the overall scheme of things? What are their strengths going in terms of events, and what is their potential exposure or their biggest weakness?
Yeah, so absolutely, I would say right off the bat, obviously they're the top. We believe the top floor team in America. They're right there, score for score, with the UCLAs of the world. And certainly they are, without a doubt, the top vaulting team, in the country. Beyond that, every team has to face the dreaded balance beam in the postseason. Of course, that's the monster that you have to face and stare down. And I have to say, if you look back on LSU's championship runs, whether it be SEC or last year's national championship, they slay that dragon and they tame that beast over on balance beam, and that's been the ticket. I think a real surprise for this team. Don't count out LSU on the uneven bars. They're top 5, top 6 in the country ranked on that event. But it's all about the handstands and landings, and they've shown and demonstrated, as they did in the SEC championships, that they can absolutely crush that event. So very well-rounded team. I think if there's a weakness, it is that you're having to likely count at least one score, maybe two, from some freshmen, and how do they react in the postseason environment? I think that's a potential question mark. I know when we saw them in the postseason, the early postseason in Birmingham a couple of Saturdays ago, they did just fine.
Hey, Mike, let me ask you, do you feel like has the portal impacted gymnastics, say, less than other sports? Are there fewer gymnasts moving from school to school, or is there as many as in, say, men's basketball and women's basketball and football?
Not as many, and I think roster size has something to do with that. I think also the fact that there are only about 6 programs at Division I across the country. So you have obviously smaller roster sizes, and then also have a smaller number of programs to choose from. Now that doesn't mean that there aren't student athletes that are looking to move around. Certainly there are. LSU has had its share of transfers and through the portal in the last few years. Not as many going the other direction, which I think is incredibly notable. You just don't see a gymnast saying, I want to move on from LSU, go somewhere else. But we have seen and continue to see, gymnasts that reach out and want to find out if there's a spot for them in Baton Rouge.
So one more question from me, Mike, really quick. You mentioned there might be some surprises. Would one of those surprises potentially be sighting of Livy Dunn in a performance?
Well, that would be a very strong surprise. I don't think that we will see her due to that knee injury that she has had. It's been so nagging this season. The one I'm speaking of really is watch for Connor McLean. Watch for her to come back in some events. And listen, if you could add Connor McLean back on vault and back on the floor exercise, this takes this LSU team to a whole other level, as they say. And look for that. I think you'll see something like that, whether it's in the first round or maybe in the second round of the regional.
Good stuff, Mike. Thanks a lot, man.
Hey, absolutely.
Are you going to Happy Valley, or are you going to wait till you Fort Worth?
Yeah, I'm going to wait and spend those frequent flyer miles going up the road to DFW.
All right, man. Thank you very much for your time, man. We appreciate it.
Spring is sprung, the grass is riz, I know where the library is. What's happening at the library? The 19th annual One Book, One Community series celebrating sports and youth mentorship with Jeffrey Marx's best-selling book, Season of Life. Join the library for events and activities for all ages in March and April. For details, spring over to readonebook.org. That's READONEBOOK.org.